Story 1. I'm engaged to, and my best friend of 3 years just told me he loves me. This is a throwaway as I do not want it associated with my primary account. Also, I know that this sub has a huge issue with large age gaps, so I would like to point out that the age gap between my fiance and I is not the center of this post, and I would appreciate it if you kept your opinions about that to yourself, please. Now, some backstory. I met my best friend Trevor, 39 male, and my fiancé Burke, 44 male, almost 5 years ago when I was 22 and they were 40 and 34. They both work together, and for privacy purposes, I'm keeping their occupation a secret, but I met Burke first, and we became good friends, and then I met Trevor next. I was immediately infatuated with Trevor. Him and I spoke quite a bit. We went out on a few dates, and I thought he felt the same way about me, but one day he dropped a bomb on me where he basically told me he never felt anything for me other than friendship and doesn't want to lead me on anymore. I played it cool and pretended that I too only wanted friendship, and he laughed and said, "Great, glad we're on the same page." I was bitter and spiteful at first, but eventually I got over it, and Trevor and I became best friends. Instead of avoiding him and cutting him out, my pride got in the way, and I didn't want to appear butthurt, so I carried on like nothing happened. I have zero feelings for Trevor now. We're much better off being friends than lovers anyway. Before, I only ever saw Burke when he was at work. Him and I had a running joke where I owed him a date. He gave me a lift home one day because it was raining, and he said, "Now you owe me dinner." And after joking around about it for a few years, one day I said, "To heck with it, Burke, let's go get dinner." So we went out as friends and had a good time, and we kept hanging out afterwards, going out for coffee and dinner and to the beach, and then after a few months of hanging out, I developed feelings for him, and apparently he also had feelings for me. And one evening, after a Game of Thrones marathon, we ended up having intercourse. Burke and I slept together for a few months, and we weren't sure if our feelings were because of the intercourse or if we really did like one another. So we stopped with the intercourse, and the feelings never left, so we just decided to start dating. And it's been pretty great ever since. We have had minimal problems, and the ones we have had were easily resolved. Burke and I have been together for 2.5 years, living together for 1.5 years, and engaged for almost a year. We're getting married in a month. Burke and Trevor have grown a bit closer since Burke and I got together, and Trevor is even going to be one of Burke's groomsmen in the wedding. I thought everything was perfect, and we were all one big happy family. Now for my problem. Trevor and I went out for a walk last night, and before we parted ways, he told me he's in love with me. He told me that back when we first met, he didn't feel it at the time, but as I've gotten older and matured and whatever, he suddenly realized that he made a mistake, and he thinks we are compatible and that I became the kind of woman he wants to date. But when he realized this, Burke and I announced our relationship to the world. I told Trevor that this was the worst timing. I can't believe he did this to me. I'm getting married in a month, and that this is totally messed up. He told me he's sorry, but he had to let his feelings be known. Now, before I get married. He said he also hopes that some part of me still wants him, and then he told me to take some time to process this and let him know my decision later on in the week. My decision? I still love Burke. He's the man I'm going to marry. All my feelings for Trevor left years ago as soon as I realized he was leading me on and never felt anything for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is going to change everything. Trevor and I will no longer be friends, our wedding is going to be one man short, and not to mention Burke and Trevor still work together and they have to interact with one another quite a bit at work, and this is going to be such a mess. Part of me also feels like this is Trevor continuing to mess around with my head. He didn't want me back then, so I moved on, and now that I'm getting married, he wants what he can't have. I have no idea. I have to tell my soon-to-be husband, but I don't know when or how. When he comes home from work, do I just blurt it out? Do I do it over supper? Do I do it before bed? And I know that this is going to cause a pretty big awkward mess, and I want to sort this out with as minimal casualties as possible. Burke worked late last night, so when he came home, I had already finished bawling my eyes out and I was fast asleep. And when he woke up this morning, I had already left for work. It's 12:12 p.m. here where I live, and Burke will be home at 7 p.m. That gives me 7 hours to work this out in my head. I'm so upset right now. I just lost my best friend. There's no way Trevor and I can continue hanging out anymore. And once I tell Burke, he's most likely not going to like me continuing to talk to Trevor, which is understandable. Sorry if this post is long and all over the place. I'm just so stressed out. Yeah, I mean, it's not even like you've held on to romantic feelings for Trevor all this time, and now it's like, oh no, what choice do I make? Literally, your choice is just how to let Trevor down. And I say, be open and honest. Talk with Burke and be like, so, hey, something really awkward and unfortunate happened. Trevor said this, and it's going to suck. But the only one who's to blame for the fallout of all that is Trevor, who should have kept his stupid mouth shut. I'm sorry, Trevor. I know that little, romance movies and everything have taught you, no, you gotta shoot your shot, and maybe she'll choose you. Or, on the wedding day, you'll run up there and be like, stop, you love me, and she'll choose you. And then you're Julia Roberts, and what's his name? He was Gavin on Friends. You all remember that? I don't remember what his actual name is. Anyway, it's a rom-com, but that's not how life works, Trevor. You have not been in as close enough a relationship to know well enough that you're, meant to be with her and she's not gonna want to be with Burke. I'm sorry, Trevor. You screwed up so bad. You ruined so much, Trevor. Why would you do this? Ugh. Story 2. Today I effed up by attempting to walk home in an unknown place completely hammered. I'm writing this story because I think it's bizarre and pretty funny. To start, I'll give some quick background. I recently graduated high school. Many of my friends go to college. I went down to see one of my friends at a college and party with him. I'll start off the story once the night really begins. There we are, me, 19 male, and my friend, 20 male, sitting in his sophomore apartment, drinking with him and his frat buddies, catching up, getting to know each other and discussing moves for the night. The plan was to go to a bar and then off to a party. To save some time, I'll skip the bar as it was uneventful and go to the party. Pretty standard frat party, music, lowlights, pretty women. My friend introduced me to a couple girls, one of which he had a thing going with. Cool. I started talking one up. We go into the main party room and start dancing and feeling each other up. All good. Goes on for an hour until my friend says he's going to head out with his girl. With my horny self, I decided to stay. No worries, I'll catch up with him later. I got my phone, and what could go wrong? So parties are going on good, and I'm absolutely hammered at this point. In fact, I got so drunk I decided it was time to call it quits. Said goodbye to the girl and walked outside to call an Uber. That would have ended the night. The thing was, my phone was dead. In hindsight, I should have asked someone else to call an Uber and given them cash, but nah, my very drunk, very, very drunk self decided, hey, it was only a 10-minute walk here. I can make it back. Now, at this point, it kind of blurred out. Keep in mind, I'm a very heavy drinker and probably had 15 shots plus some beers. Too much for me to handle clearly as I woke up on the side of the road in a fenced-off area. I kid you not, I was in what looked like a school area, fenced-off place where there were straight bar metal fences. There was probably some sort of way I got trying to find my way back. I have zero clue. But there I was. Instead of looking for a way out, just climbed the fence. So I started walking again. At this point, I'm a little more conscious. Zero idea where I am. Luckily, someone driving down one of the campus roads stopped and asked if I needed help. Told him to drop me off at a gas station by the apartment. Awesome, I'm back. Get let into the apartment, walk up to his, and my friend wasn't there. Instead, one of his roommates was that I hadn't met. Don't clearly remember what happened, but we got into an argument. Apparently my friend and this guy aren't on good terms. With my drunk self, I'm very aggressive and get in his face. He's backed into the kitchen now as I'm not a small guy and he probably was threatened. Once in the kitchen, he grabs a kitchen knife. Not a huge one, but not a butter knife. One of the smaller serrated edge ones. In my drunk, peed-off state, I grab it by the blade. It cut the F out of my hand. At this point, I'm screaming, and he said something about calling the police or whatnot. Not sure, but one of the other roommates who I had met came out to this commotion, kind of calmed me down, and I said I had to go. No problem. I'll sleep in my car parked by the gas station. I lived in it at one point, so I was comfortable with that. So I go to the gas station, and I'm smoking a cigarette outside of my car. Other guys out there. He seems cool. We're talking. He sees my bloody pants and asks what happened. Next thing I know, he told me I can sleep on his couch. Nah, I'm good. He assures me it's cool and says he got weed. Crap, man, I could light up. F it, let's go. Once we arrive at his place and light up, I start to notice off-putting signs. He was cool, but he had a lot of guns, kind of strange posters, and just overall, I was uneasy. This heightened when he turned on the TV and started sitting weirdly close to me and looking at me. Now at this point, I don't know if this is some Jeffrey Dahmer or just a harmless gay, but I ain't taking those chances. So again, with my genius drunken, now crossed state, I decide I'm leaving. Tell him I'm going to smoke a cigarette, go outside, and I sprint off. And then it hit. F. Now I'm stranded. No phone, and even further from the campus. I tried sleeping in some grass kind of off the road, but it was too cold. I decided I needed a hitchhike. Not surprisingly, none of these seldom passing cars at 4 a.m. wanted to pick up some drunk guy covered in blood. Well, F it, I'm just gonna keep walking. Eventually, I spotted someone in their driveway appearing like they're about to work. Hey man, I need some help. Can I get a ride to XYZ? Again, unsurprisingly, I was not met with graciousness, but with fear and concern. Luckily for me, though, he called the cops. They pull up to me, still walking the streets, do their cop stuff, get license, pat me down, and ask what I'm doing. Tell them I'm lost, and they give me a ride to where I want to go. Drop me off, tell me if I start my car, I'll get a DUI, whatever. So I fall asleep in my car. A couple days later, I get a call from campus police saying I'm trespassed from the campus. LOL. Look, I've had some real drunk nights in my early to mid-20s. I've made some mistakes and everything. Definitely done some stuff that I didn't fully remember and some worse stuff that I do remember. But boy, oh boy, I don't think I've ever had a night remotely like that. And I don't know if that says just how much worse this person's drinking was or how much better mine was. But either way, I'm taking solace in the fact that I've never encountered anything like this and doubt that I ever will now. Thank heavens. Story 3. Entitled friend doesn't understand the concept of a white elephant exchange. This all happened almost 10 years ago, but after spending all morning reading stories on this sub, I felt like sharing my own experience. For years, I, male, early 30s at the time, was close friends with Brittany, female, same age as me. Brittany and I had gone to college together, gone on trips together, and were pretty much inseparable. She'd always had a bit of an entitled streak to her, but it was never anything drastic. She usually kept it restrained to things like being the only one to pick which restaurant our group of friends went to, or having her seat in each friend's home. Annoying, yes, but pretty mild overall. Then Christmas hit. A mutual friend of ours decided to hold a Christmas get-together for our large extended friend group, which included both me and Brittany. This friend, Mary, had recently gotten married and bought a new house with her new husband, Matt. Mary's wedding had been a small, private, family-only affair. To celebrate with friends, as well as celebrate their new house and the holiday, Mary invited about 30 people from our extended friend group to a big Christmas party. It was wonderful. Mary has always been one hell of a cook, and she insisted on providing everything for the guests. She did all the cooking, bought tons of drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and made sure none of her guests were without a drink or plate of amazing food all night. Mary had only one request for her guests. Each person bring a gift to contribute to a white elephant gift exchange. Happily, especially given how much Mary and Matt shelled out to feed us, we all brought a gift. For those not familiar, white elephant exchanges, called Yankee Swap or Dirty Santa in some places, involved everyone bringing a wrapped gift. Then, one by one, each person chooses a gift from the pile. The first person opens his or her chosen gift, then the second person can either open a new gift or steal the first person's gift. Third can steal second or first gifts or pick a new one, on and on until everyone has had a chance. Then the first person gets the last chance to steal. One rule put in place in a lot of these exchanges is that a gift can only be stolen twice. So if you're the third person to get your hands on a gift, it is yours for good and no one can take it from you. This was the downfall of Mary's gift exchange, at least when it came to Brittany. The gift exchange started and people were having fun stealing blankets, candles, gift cards, and the like from other friends. No one was upset if their gift was stolen. Hell, it's all for fun and we're all friends, right? Well, Matt, Mary's new husband and party co-host, was really good at making his own beer. As his gift in the exchange, he wrapped up a full case of his amazing dark stout that he made. Bob opened that and was excited. We all knew how amazing the beer was and we had been drinking it all night at the party. Then Tim stole the beer from Bob. We laughed. Bob was disappointed, but he gave it over to Tim in spirit of the game. Then it was my turn. I stole the beer from Tim. Like Bob, Tim was disappointed, but willingly gave me the beer and laughed along with his disappointment. Notice that I was the third owner of the case of beer. That means that, per the rules of Mary's game, I was safe from having the beer stolen from me. Brittany was the next to go. She tried to steal the beer, but was reminded by several people that the beer had been stolen twice, so was now officially mine. Instead of just picking a new gift or stealing someone else's, Brittany threw a fit. All the other gifts suck. That's not fair. The beer's the only thing I want. I wouldn't have played if I knew this stupid rule. On and on and on she went. She was making everyone uncomfortable, especially Mary. Matt intervened and politely asked Brittany to just play along. He reminded her that there were still a few bottles of the stout in the kitchen if she wanted one. But no, Brittany couldn't handle not having the full case to take home with her. She pouted and refused to pick another gift or play the game. So we skipped her. The game continued on and everyone, other than Brittany, had a gift. With only one gift left, Brittany was forced to take that or nothing. She chose nothing and, on top, continued to crab and moan about how unfair the rules were. The person who bought the unclaimed gift took it back and gave it to Mary and Matt as a housewarming gift. Seeing that, Brittany stormed out and left. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Over the next few days, I was barraged with text messages from Brittany demanding that I give her the case of Matt's beer. She didn't ask if I would share it, which I probably would have done. She demanded that I give it to her outright, saying, "You know the rules were BS and it should have been mine anyway." When I told her no, she started with guilt trips. "You make more money than me, so you can buy expensive beer, and I can't. We've been friends for so long, it's only right. You're just being selfish." The final message from her was, "I hope you choke on it, a-hole." I blocked her number, removed her from my Facebook friends list, and haven't spoken to her since. Nor, for that matter, have Mary and Matt, nor about a third of the party guests. She lost a lot of friends, all over a case of beer. It was damn good beer, though. I thought of Brittany every time I drank a bottle. Oh, Brittany! Why? What a gross look. Not only to, demand that you get the beer, but then to, say, all the other gifts suck and stuff like that. No. Oh, how gross and entitled. And also, seriously, it would have been all right, fine, we won't have that rule. And then Brittany gets the beer, and then the next person goes, "I'm going to steal the beer from Brittany." I'm not allowed. YouTube will get mad, but you know which finger is for Brittany. That's that. Hey, Brittany, here's my gift to you. Guess which one? Guess which one is yours, Brittany? Ooh, it's a Christmas miracle. It's the white elephant's trunk. What am I doing? Story 4. Am I the a-hole for not inviting our homeless sister on a family trip? My 32 female husband, 38 male, is very close to his family. His parents are awesome, and we spent a lot of time with them over the years we've been together. He's close to his oldest sister, 40 female, who, for the most part, I've had a good relationship with. When I got pregnant with my first, my sister-in-law wanted us to have children together. She very quickly jumped into a relationship with a man she met online. Within a year, they had squandered over $200,000 she had received in a settlement on expensive rental homes, a very fancy car, new wardrobes, and a half a dozen or so trips. He also had a significant drug problem which created a lot of debt. Shortly after I had my first, she was pregnant, and our children are a year apart. Finally, this year, after 3 years in a significantly damaged relation with my husband and in-laws, she left her boyfriend with a significant amount of debt, a toddler, and nowhere to go. She moved in with my in-laws until she could find a place to live. It's been over 6 months, and she still continues to waste money frivolously, isn't working towards finding a new home, and has been relying on them to provide free full-time care. This is taking a major toll on them and means they are often too tired to spend time with our children. Both my in-laws and children lament this lost time, but are kind of stuck until my sister-in-law gets back on her feet. A few months ago, we came into a small amount of money, most of which we used for home repairs and some for savings. My husband offered to loan his sister first and last for a nice but modest first-floor apartment. She declined because she wouldn't live in a dump and wanted a high-end condo. Offer still on the table if she chooses. Last week, my boss offered me some unexpected PTO. My husband suggested we take our kids on a beach vacation. I suggested that maybe we could take his parents. They would get a much-needed break, and our kids would get the time together they missed. They were elated and agreed. Sister-in-law is furious at not being invited and suggests that we use the money we offered for first and last to be used to pay for her trip. We said no. The thing is, not only do we just want alone time with my in-laws and kids, she also has a habit of leaving me with her child for lengthy periods of time while she goes out to smoke or do other things. I understand being a mom or single mom is a lot of work, but I'm a mom too, not just a free babysitter. Are we being a-holes for dictating what that money is for? The F/L offer was supposed to be to help her out and alleviate some pressure off the in-laws. Nope, you're not an a-hole. I'm sorry, no, absolutely not. The offer to her is absolutely wonderful. Just what a generous thing to offer up to not only help your in-laws, but help her out to get her own place and everything. And B, if she wants to go on the trip with you, then she can pay for it and do it herself and everything, if she's that confident in it. I'm sorry. No. And you get to choose who you go on trips with. Like, you could just have gone on a trip with the family. You could have invited in-laws. You could have invited just her and not the in-laws. That's your choice. It's your money. No, you don't have to feel bad about this. She doesn't get to guilt trip you about this just because you have set limitations on how you will give her free money. No, I don't like it. Story 5. I just found out my mother has gone back to her toxic/abusive boyfriend. A month back, my 20 male, mother, 44 female, and her boyfriend got into a fight and things got physical. My mother fought back, but she has bruises on her hands and face because of him. My mother told me about it, and I told her it'll be best to end the relationship. I never liked the guy she was seeing from the beginning based on how he talks to her, and my mother knew that. I made her promise to me that she wouldn't go back to him already. Fast forward this week, my mother's been acting really sketchy, wouldn't answer my calls, and wouldn't allow me to go home, reasoning that she was busy. I went home anyway, and I was surprised that she wasn't there. I could tell she hadn't been in the house for a while, considering that since when I told her I was at her house, she told me to check if there was water. I was already very suspicious at that point because she also wouldn't tell me where she was when I asked. Since she wouldn't budge, I told her to be safe, and I told her I hope she isn't with her boyfriend's name. She didn't reply to that message and instead called to ask me how I was doing at the house. We met up for dinner today, and while we were together, she gave me her old phone since mine was already broken. Admittedly, what I did next was wrong, but I don't regret it. I went through the photos of her old phone just to see if I could find something, and unfortunately, I did. She's been apparently meeting with the guy and lying to me for weeks since December. I genuinely can't breathe right now. I'm afraid things might get physical again with them. Cutting things off with my mother is not an option. I want to be there for her. I also don't think blowing up and getting mad at her is the right way to go, since I bet that'll only push her closer to her abuser. Any advice on what I should do? That's a really tough situation because, unfortunately, when people are with kind of abusive spouses and develop a habit of like going back to them, part of that is like a trauma response, and there's not a lot of reasoning with that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to help someone who doesn't actively want to be helped. And in my experience with this, the best thing that I think that you're able to do is to just express that, hey, I know that you're back with him. I just want to be supportive and there for you. So if we can just talk about this, I'm not saying you have to leave him. I'm not controlling your life. I just want to support you and make sure that you're okay. And I want you to know, basically as a way to let them know that you're someone that they can talk to. So if unfortunately things do escalate again with this boyfriend or things go bad, you want your mother or whomever in this situation, for anyone going through this, you want them to trust you and be able to come to you, because that's all you can really honestly do. A lot of these situations, if you go to them like, no, they're going to beat you up and I'm not going to be here for it unless you leave them, a lot of times it's just going to drive a wedge between you. Maybe sometimes it works, but I feel like that is a huge gamble to take. The best thing I have is just open, honest communication and offering support that, hey, literally, if anything happens, if you ever need someone to talk to or turn to or to pick you up or anything, I am there for you. Because what those people need is someone supportive in their life who can help them when they're ready to reach out for help. That's at least my opinion. If there are other people in the comments who might have, different experiences with this than what I've had, please share what you've got there too. I don't think that there are necessarily wrong answers. Information's a good thing to have, but yeah. And for those of you, if you are in a relationship that you're kind of nervous about and stuff, please talk to someone that you trust. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.